Hey YouTubers, 95 Speed GTA. Today I'm going to show you how to wire up your 96 to 2000 Grand Caravan to legally have a trailer hooked up to it. So what we're doing is we're putting a trailer light harness kit in your 96 to 2000 Caravan. Here's what the harness looks like. This is from U-Haul, and I actually took this off of my 03 Caravan along with the trailer hitch before I sold it to my friend. Unfortunately, the wiring job on my 03 Caravan was done by a foaming at the mouth retard, and it looked really, really terrible. What he did was, this type of setup, you set up on the left side of the car, because it has the green wire, which is a really long wire that goes to your right tail light. So what he did was, he drilled a hole right in here, which explained why every time it rained I would get a puddle in the back of my car. So once I took the kit out, I had to body fill this and I had to fix everything. Why couldn't you just go through here? And this is the harness end that plugs into your trailer. What he did was, he tucked the wire right here, and those of you that have a furnished Grand Caravan know that there's a plastic cover that goes over this. So every time I wanted to use it, I had to take the plastic cover off, take this out, hook it up to the trailer like this, and shut it. Now, is that a half-assed job or what? Would anybody want that in their car? It looks stupid. Even on this piece of shit Caravan, who wants a job done like that? So anyway, I'm going to show you the right way to do it. Maybe even give you a couple of shortcuts, but then again, it's up to you. So here's how it's supposed to be done. I took the taillight lenses off because I wanted to clean in here because it looks a little dirty, and I already know where the turn signal wire is, so I don't need to keep any of this connected. But you're going to need to figure out what wire is your left and right turn signal wire, what your stoplight wire is, and so on. So my suggestion to you is to use this type of tool. This is a 6 to 12, well, let me make sure. Yes, this is a 6 to 12 volt circuit tester, and pretty much what it is you hook up one end to the ground, and you use this probe on the wires, and if there's current running through it, there's a light inside that lights up. So when you put your signal switch on, this will blink. So this comes in very handy. Before you get involved in any of that, well, you want to start routing everything. This box right here, the U-Haul box, we're going to mount right in here because it's away from everything, and what do you know? There's electrical wires in there. So it's just a little spot away, so you can't mount it here, and you can't mount it like somewhere here, because when you put your panel back on, well, it's not going to go on. So I'm going to mount it right in here. So once you mount it, here's a mounting bracket here. Or you know what? You don't even have to mount it. You could just stick it in there. Whatever you want to do, it's your choice. But once you mount it, then these wires have to be fed through here somehow. Here's how you're going to do it. Some of you guys are still going to have a piece of electrical tape holding this steady, and some of you won't. But you could either grab this with your finger or a needle nose plier and just pull it forwards. And what you're going to do, alright, so now we're ready to connect a wiring harness. So this is from your taillights. What we're going to do is we're going to see which one is the tail lights. So what you're going to want to do is go to your headlight switch and put the parking lights on only. Grab your test light, hook it up to a decent ground, and then, which I already know which one it is, then you find out which one is which. So now we know that the tail light harness for the tail lights is it looks like a black and purple. So I'm going to take the black and purple wire, or brown and purple, which is right here. Then I'm going to take one of these quick splices, see which one is the tail lights, which on this U-Haul kit it's the yellow wire. And I'm going to splice them two together without cutting anything. I'm just going to connect them, which I'll show you how it works. So once you get the two wires in, there's the little thing that crimps down on them. You get them both in their slots, as you can see. Then you squeeze. And you squeeze down until it snaps. And then you got both wires in. And it'll look like this. Two wires put together. And then you just repeat the process on the rest of the wires. One's a ground. If there isn't a ground wire on here, you just make a ground. You can make a ground in quite a few locations on here because you got the open body of the car. And then after you do this, we'll put it back and then move on to something else. Okay, so we got everything connected. That means she's working good. And this is what I did. All before the line. Now you just put it through and all the connectors stay inside there. You'll never tell. This piece up here, I'm going to be putting in there. Then I'm going to run a line. You see, what they did was they gave an extra long line, and this is how they installed it in my Caravan. See, instead of using their brain, what they did, and I'm not being, judgmental about people people that are supposed to install things professionally for a living. But when you work somewhere, you don't half-ass stuff and make it look bad. So what they did was they took the green, and what this green wire is it's for the right turn signal, and they ran it this way. They took, which I'm not going to remove, but they lifted up my weather stripping, ran it through my weather stripping, left one bolt hole out, and then ran the wire through the bolt hole and in, and spliced it to right here. Just for your information, smart thing to do is to put your turn signal on for the right signal, take your tester, hook it up to the ground, go over to your terminal, which is right here. That's your tail light. And the blink, well, that's your right blinker. So you take a look at it, and it's a brown wire with a red stripe. So instead of going through all this trouble and taking this off, which is pretty easy, and removing it just like you did on this side, then remove the tape over here and just dig through the wires. And here it is. There's the brown and red wire. I'm going to put pressure on it. There you go. That cuts your job in half. Now you take the green wire, cut it to size, and splice it in. Hey, alright, once you're done, we're going to cut the excess slack off, and then we're going to rewrap what we unwrapped here. And if you got zip ties or whatever, you could zip tie this line into the harness. I'm just going to quickly wrap it up. Off in there, and then the last final thing to do is run this one underneath the car. What you're going to do is your little the little cover that's hiding the wires, you put a flathead screwdriver in there, turn it counterclockwise, then we're going to lift it up, and what we need to get in there is right there, we need to get that metal, not metal, we need to get that rubber bushing up, because that's where we're going to put our line through. Okay, so once we get this little piece up, it actually serves no purpose. I think maybe it's a drain plug or something, or if the car gets flooded or whatever. Or it could be for a factory trailer hitch install. I'm not sure, but it goes to the bottom. Only problem is our little connector ain't so little, it's actually pretty big. Alright, so once we drill our hole and make it a little bigger, we're gonna you could either zip tie it on there. This is really interesting, I'm listening to this. It's ridiculous how people whatever. But anyway, you could take your electrical tape or your zip ties, and zip ties would be a lot easier. You put them all together, and you run them in, and everything goes back in here. And I had to use a bigger plug, so that's it. Then you put everything back together in reverse order. YouTubers, this is 95 Speed GTA. I hope I helped somebody.